The platform was vast and silent, stretching farther than the human could see, its edges lost in shadow and mist. Strange lights glimmered along the walls and floors, pulsing softly like the heartbeat of the ship itself. The air was thick with the scent of metal and ozone, and something unplaceable and ancient. Every step he took echoed faintly beneath his boots and seemed to carry farther than it should. His hands clutched the glowing box, tightly pressing it against his chest as if its warmth could protect him from the unknown ahead. He paused for a moment, his breath coming shallow in the artificial gravity, and the dim light glinting off the surface of the box, revealing faint lines of energy. Running beneath its casing, it was small, simple in design, yet radiant with a glow that seemed almost alive. He had carried it across planets, through storms of fire and ice, across corridors of alien ships filled with creatures that had never known humans before, and now he stood at the edge of the platform alone in the silence, waiting for her to appear. The alien woman was watching from a doorway just a few paces ahead, her body tall and elongated, her limbs perfectly straight and elegant. Her skin shimmered faintly, catching the lights in colors that seemed impossible for human eyes. Her eyes were wide and unblinking, scanning him from head to toe. Her head tilted slightly as if to understand why this fragile creature had dared to step into her world, carrying something so small, and yet so luminous. Every instinct in her screamed caution, every thought warned of danger, yet curiosity held her in place. He stepped forward slowly, keeping the box out in front of him, offering it carefully. His eyes met hers across the distance, and for a moment the ship seemed to pause. Time slowed, the hum of the engines softened, as if listening. The air was charged with something heavier than fear, heavier than anticipation, heavier than the space between stars, and yet he did not falter. His voice was silent, but his intent clear. He had brought this gift for her, Alanta. Box pulsed faintly as he shifted its angle, catching the light and throwing small arcs of illumination across the platform. The glow danced across the alien patterns, etched into the walls. He could feel her gaze weighing on him, each second stretching longer than it should. His hands trembled slightly, but he held it steady. He had prepared for war, prepared for rejection, prepared for the worst, yet not even in his calculations had he imagined the intensity of this moment. The ship, the stars, the silence, all seemed to shrink around the fragile bridge forming between them. And then she moved slightly, a single step forward, her body fluid and precise, every movement measured but hesitant. The platform seemed to shrink as they closed the distance, a bridge forming between human and alien, a fragile promise held in the glow of a small box. She did not move forward quickly, nor did she retreat. Her body held perfect stillness, as if frozen in anticipation. Every fiber of her being seemed attuned to the presence of the human and the glowing object he carried. Her fingers were long and slender, hovering near her sides, but not quite extended, as if the gesture itself might invite danger or understanding. Her eyes reflected the dim light of the platform like pools of liquid metal, catching every flicker of the box. The air between them was thick and charged with unspoken possibilities. Curiosity mingled with caution, awe mingled with fear. The human held the box out further. A slow, deliberate motion meant to calm, not to provoke. His pulse thundered in his ears, every beat reminding him that this encounter could end in disaster. Every instinct screamed to run, to speak, to explain, but he remained still, letting the gift speak for him, letting the glow illuminate the space between them. His shoulders were tight, his hands steady, despite the tremor that ran through him. He had crossed worlds to deliver this gift, and now the moment was here, and nothing else mattered, except the connection forming silently in the charged air. Her eyes flickered across the surface of the box, tracing its faint energy lines. She tilted her head slightly to one side, almost imperceptibly, and sniffed the air. The scent was strange too, her senses a mixture of warmth and hope and human determination. Her body remained tense, yet curiosity was stronger than caution now. She moved a single step forward, a subtle motion that shifted the air and the silence in ways the human could feel. Without seeing, the glow of the box pulsed slightly faster, as if sensing her presence, as if aware that this moment was fragile and precious and unlike any before. She raised a hand slowly, fingers extended, hovering just above the box without touching it. Her movements were careful, precise, elegant, and deliberate. Her eyes did not leave his face, trying to read intentions that were human and perhaps unknowable. The hum of the ship vibrated faintly beneath them, echoing across the platform as though it recognized the significance of the gesture. Every second stretched and folded over itself, and the tension between them grew thick and tangible like fog on a distant planet. The human whispered softly, though no words carried beyond his lips, the motion of his mouth gentle, deliberate, communicating hope and sincerity across the void of species and culture. She leaned slightly closer, her head tilting, her glowing eyes absorbing the warmth and intent that radiated from him. The smallest tremor ran down her spine, a reaction to the simplicity and power of the gesture, a recognition of something she had not thought she could feel or understand. Her lips parted slightly as though she might speak, but held back. The bridge between human and alien formed, slowly luminous and delicate, held together by the glow of the small box and the courage of the one who offered it. In that fragile moment, the silence became heavy and alive, a living presence carrying the weight of expectation, wonder, and something older than either of them had known. The alien woman remained frozen for a heartbeat longer, her eyes tracing the glow of the box as if it contained a fragment of the universe itself, her head tilted slightly forward and back again, a subtle motion, almost imperceptible but charged with curiosity and caution. She inhaled slowly, her chest rising and falling with the deliberate rhythm of someone testing the limits of what could be trusted and what could not. The platform beneath her feet hummed faintly, reverberating with the tension in the space between them, the glow from the box casting shifting shadows across the lines and curves of her skin. The human shifted slightly, his hands steadying the box, extending it forward just a little more. His pulse raced, his breaths came shallow, but his expression remained calm and open. He had rehearsed this moment across countless simulations, across worlds filled with creatures that could not understand his intent, and yet here, he was offering something small and simple, hoping that simplicity would bridge the vast distance between their experiences. His eyes never left hers, watching for the slightest reaction, for any sign that the gesture might be accepted or rejected. Stepped forward one careful pace, her body moving with a fluid elegance that betrayed the precision of her species. The alien light reflected across her skin, shimmering in colors the human could not name but could see. She extended a single hand, slowly, fingers hovering just above the surface of the glowing box. She did not touch it, but the tremor that ran through her body was unmistakable. The smallest shiver of recognition of something delicate and profound that stirred within her. Her eyes widened as she caught the reflection of her own hand in the soft light, a gesture that mirrored both caution and curiosity. The human inclined his head slightly, a silent invitation, his movements deliberate and gentle. The glow of the box pulsed, as if responding to her presence and intent. He could feel the energy of the ship itself shifting around them, subtle vibrations that seemed to echo the heartbeat of the moment. Every second stretched like a ribbon drawn taut between two worlds. She inhaled again, lips slightly parted as if to speak, but no words came. The tension between them thickened, a tangible weight of anticipation, awe, and fragile trust. A faint hum resonated from the box. She felt it almost under her fingertips, a vibration of life and warmth. Her hand wavered slightly before inching closer toward the glow. Each motion was precise, cautious, but drawn irresistibly by the small miracle of light and intent that floated between them. She leaned her head closer, her eyes fixed on the human, watching every movement, tracing every line of his face, every subtle indication of honesty and hope. The space between them felt impossibly vast yet impossibly intimate, a bridge of understanding that had never existed before. And then the smallest whisper escaped her lips, a sound so soft it might have been carried by the hum of the ship itself. It was curiosity, it was awe, it was recognition of the gesture, and of the one who dared to offer it. The bridge between human and alien wavered on the edge of something extraordinary, fragile, luminous, and unforgettable. The alien woman remained frozen for a moment longer, her elongated fingers hovering just above the glow of the small box. Her eyes shimmered with iridescent patterns, reflecting the pulsing light like liquid stars caught in a tide of emotion and instinct. Every muscle in her body was tense, coiled, and precise, yet something unseen stirred deep within her. The warmth radiating from the human carried a vibration she had not felt in all her years aboard the silent ship. It was strange and unfamiliar, yet oddly familiar, a rhythm of sincerity and hope that reached beyond the alien measures of logic and reason. The human did not move. He waited silently, his chest rising and falling, slowly keeping the box steady and illuminated. His eyes never left hers, gauging her reactions, measuring the smallest twitch of muscle, the subtlest shift of posture. Every step he had taken across galaxies, every risk he had assumed led to this delicate moment where trust was fragile and every heartbeat mattered. The glow of the box pulsed, gently responding to the closeness of her hand, as if alive and aware of the fragile connection forming between them. She took another careful step forward, a fluid motion, precise yet hesitant. Her long fingers drifted closer, tracing invisible lines above the surface of the box without touching it. The tremor running through her body became more pronounced, a shiver that started at her shoulders, traveled down her spine and spread to her hands and legs. Her eyes widened, catching the reflected light in her pupils, and she leaned slightly forward. The air seemed to thrum around them, charged with anticipation, curiosity, and the fragile weight of something neither had encountered before. The human tilted his head slightly, in acknowledgement, his lips pressing into a faint line of reassurance. The pulsing light of the box seemed to flicker in rhythm with the tremor of her fingers. It illuminated the alien patterns etched into the walls of the platform, casting shadows that danced across her shimmering skin. Every motion was deliberate, every breath deliberate, every heartbeat a silent plea for understanding. She inhaled slowly, her chest rising and falling, as if drawing courage from the warmth emanating from him, and the subtle hum of the gift, a faint vibration, ran through her body as her fingers drifted closer. The box seemed to respond, glowing brighter for a heartbeat, then dimming, as if testing her intent. Her lips parted slightly and her head tilted further forward. The tremor grew into a shiver that traveled from her spine into the tips of her fingers. She had never felt such a mixture of caution, awe, and fragile longing all at once. The human's stillness and the gentle glow of the box formed a bridge between worlds, fragile and luminous. For a moment, the ship was silent except for the hum of the platform and the pulse of the gift. She felt something stirred deep within her, something fragile and almost forbidden, curiosity, hope and awe, all tangled together. Her fingers hovered impossibly close just above the box, and she trembled, unable to resist the gravity of the gesture and the sincerity of the one who offered it. The alien woman's hand trembled as she drifted forward another careful step, her body taut with anticipation and fear and something deeper that she did not yet name. The glow of the small box pulsed gently beneath her hovering fingers, casting light across the delicate curves of her skin. Her eyes reflected the illumination, like pools of liquid silver and violet, and every shimmer seemed to ripple across her face. She held her breath, as if inhaling too deeply might shatter the fragile bridge forming between them. Each step she took seemed weighted with centuries of instinct, caution, and curiosity, tangled together into one single motion. The human remained still, offering the gift silently, letting the glow speak in place of words. His pulse thrummed in his ears and his hands were steady, even as his chest rose and fell in rapid, shallow breaths. He could feel the tension radiating from her body, the subtle shiver that traveled from her shoulders, down her spine, into her elongated fingers, and he knew that every moment counted, every second was a test of trust and intent. He tilted his head slightly in reassurance, and the soft hum of the box seemed to brighten in response to her approach, as if sensing her curiosity and the tremor that ran through her. Her fingers drifted closer, still a fraction of an inch at a time, hovering above the luminous surface. She felt the faint vibration of energy running beneath the casing of the gift, almost imperceptible but unmistakable. Her lips parted slightly, and she exhaled softly, a sound that mingled with the hum of the ship and the glow of the box. She had never experienced anything like it before, a mixture of caution, awe, and longing that pulled at her with invisible hands. Her knees flexed subtly to adjust her balance, and she leaned forward, further drawn irresistibly by the warmth and sincerity emanating from the human. The tremor through her body intensified, a shiver that ran down her spine, across her shoulders, and into the tips of her fingers. Her breathing grew uneven, as if the energy of the moment itself pressed against her chest. The glow of the box brightened faintly, catching the soft, metallic sheen of her skin and reflecting in her wide eyes. She dared to extend a finger closer, brushing the air just above the surface. Without touching it, the box pulsed in response, a heartbeat of light and warmth that made her gasp softly and take a small, involuntary step back. The human smiled faintly, a motion of patience and encouragement. His gaze never left hers, steady and unwavering and filled with a quiet hope that spoke louder than words. The alien woman hesitated, but curiosity and something else, entirely stronger than fear, drove her forward. Her fingers hovered closer, and the tremor in her body was now a shiver of wonder, a recognition of the gesture, and of the one who had dared to offer it. She exhaled slowly, letting the weight of the moment press in and yet not push her away on. In that frozen instant, the space between them was alive with light and energy and possibility, fragile, luminous, and utterly unforgettable. The first true connection bridging human and alien, hovering just above a simple gift, A alien woman froze for a heartbeat as the sound reached her ears, faint, almost impossible to register, yet undeniable. The vibrations of his voice brushed against her senses, a strange cadence of warmth and intent that seemed to reach beneath the layers of instinct and caution she had carried for so long. Her fingers hovered closer to the glowing surface of the box, trembling slightly, as if drawn by invisible threads of light and emotion. Every pulse of the gift seemed to synchronize with the subtle vibration of his whispered words, carrying hope, curiosity, and something older and deeper than either can name. The human's lips moved slowly, repeating the quiet sound of language she could not fully translate, yet the meaning was clear in the cadence, the sincerity in the motion, in the subtle shift of his eyes and shoulders. He did not push, he did not gesture beyond the gentle forward tilt of his chest and the steady glow of the small gift he held. His entire presence radiated patience and an almost sacred reverence for the moment, as if knowing that one wrong motion could shatter the fragile bridge forming between them. Her fingers trembled again, a small, involuntary shiver that ran from her shoulder down her spine to the tips of her elongated digits. She leaned closer, almost imperceptibly, her head tilting to one side, the shimmer of her skin catching the soft light of the box and the faint glow of the platform. She inhaled sharply, the sound barely audible over the hum of the ship, and the soft pulse of the gift. Her body quivered slightly in response to the sincerity and calm radiating from him. The words almost understood the warmth of his presence, the delicate weight of the gesture, the glow of the box pulsed brighter, as if responding to her motion. She dared to extend a single finger forward, just above the surface, a fraction of an inch from touching it. The tremor running through her became stronger, a full shiver that traveled across her shoulders and back into her hand. She gasped softly, the air moving in a fragile note that mingled with the hum and the whispers of the ship. The human's gaze locked onto hers, steady, unwavering, filled with a quiet patience that anchored her trembling body. Her lips parted slightly, and she exhaled slowly, letting the warmth of her breath mingle with the soft illumination of the gift. She leaned a little closer, her eyes wide and glistening, reflecting the pulsing light, as if the glow of the box carried every unspoken word between them. Every instinct screamed caution, yet every emotion pulled her forward, a magnetic, invisible force that made the trembling in her fingers impossible to resist. She hovered there, suspended between wonder, fear, and desire, curiosity, and awe. For the first time, she almost touched it, her finger brushing the last millimeter above the surface. The box pulsed in tandem with her shiver, and the whispered cadence of his voice, the space between them filled with fragile, luminous potential, the bridge between human and alien, stretching toward something unforgettable, alive and real. The alien woman finally let her finger drift forward, brushing the surface of the glowing box, lightly, almost imperceptibly, but enough to elicit a pulse of energy that ran through the small device and into her hand. Her body shivered at the sensation, a ripple of warmth and light traveling from the tips of her fingers up her arm, across her shoulders, and down her spine. She inhaled sharply, her chest rising and falling, as if the small act of contact had opened some dormant channel inside her. Her eyes widened, catching the reflection of her hand and the glow of the gift mirrored in the human's unwavering gaze. The human remained still, holding the box carefully, allowing her to engage with it fully. His pulse was steady, his breath shallow, but controlled. He did not speak. Instead, he let the gift carry the message of sincerity, hope, and trust. The subtle hum of the device, intertwined with the faint vibrations of his whispered words, creating a fragile symphony that filled the platform with warmth and light. She felt the weight of the gesture, the courage it had taken to carry the gift across worlds, and now here it was alive between them like a fragile promise. Her finger lingered on the surface, longer this time, the energy flowing into her palm, making the tremor in her body grow into a full shiver. The alien woman's lips parted slightly, and a faint sound escaped her throat, a low, almost inaudible breath that vibrated with awe and wonder. Her knees flexed to steady herself, yet she did not pull back, drawn irresistibly toward the warmth and sincerity emanating from him, and the soft light of the glowing box. Every instinct screamed caution, yet curiosity and awe were stronger, pushing her forward into the moment that had been suspended between anticipation and reality. The glow of the box pulsed in gentle rhythm with her shivering body, creating shifting shadows on the walls of the platform. Her skin shimmered iridescently in the soft light, every color reflecting her emotions from cautious awe to fragile joy and growing wonder. She leaned slightly closer, her elongated fingers brushing across the surface in a delicate dance of contact and retreat. The human's eyes never left her, steady and patient, and full of quiet encouragement. His presence, a tether that allowed her to explore the moment safely. A low vibration ran through her body from her fingertips, through her spine and chest, as if the device responded to the intent and emotion behind the touch. Her lips parted again, and she whispered softly words that carried all wonder and gratitude, a sound almost carried away by the hum of the platform, yet undeniable in the charged silence. The human's chest rose slowly in response, a small smile brushing his lips, the simplicity of connection and trust stretching across the fragile space between them. And in that instant she trembled fully, letting herself be vulnerable, letting herself feel the weight and warmth of the gift, and of his sincerity, and the pulse of light from the small device. And the fragile bridge between human and alien wavered, luminous and unforgettable, alive with possibility and unspoken promise. The alien woman drew a slow breath, her fingers still brushing the surface of the glowing box, the tremor in her body now a full shiver that ran from the tips of her fingers through her shoulders and spine, and settled deep within her chest. She lifted her head slightly, her eyes meeting the human's gaze, steady, patient, and full of quiet warmth. The words that came from her lips were soft, fragile, and trembling, yet carried across the charged air like a current of light. They were not words he could fully understand, but the intent was unmistakable: gratitude, awe, trust, and a recognition of the courage and sincerity he had offered. The sound of her voice sent a ripple through him, a pulse that echoed in his chest, matching the rhythm of the small, glowing gift. Her body shivered again, a subtle convulsion of emotion that made her pause mid-breath. She had never spoken like this before to another being, not even to her own kind. Yet here, in the glow of the gift, in the stillness of the alien ship, she felt something undeniable, a bridge of connection, stretching between two worlds. The hum of the platform beneath them vibrated in harmony with the pulse of the box. The soft light illuminated her shimmering skin, highlighting every color, every pattern, and casting moving reflections across the walls of the chamber. It made the space feel alive and intimate and impossibly fragile. The human kept the box extended, letting her take the lead, letting her emotions guide her touch. His eyes followed every subtle twitch, every flicker of movement, every shiver. He had crossed worlds with nothing but hope and the simplicity of this gift. And now that hope had found its reflection in her voice, in her tremor, in her presence, he could feel the bridge between them solidifying with every moment. The gift was no longer just a gesture, it was the living conduit of trust, connection, and wonder. She stepped slightly closer, her fingers moving fully across the surface, now feeling the warmth pulse through her hands. The shiver ran deeper now, a trembling awareness that made her lips part again, releasing another set of soft, almost musical words that seemed to echo off the walls and through the empty space of the platform. Her body leaned imperceptibly toward him, drawn by the energy of sincerity, the pull of curiosity, and the fragile power of emotion that neither of them could have predicted. The glow of the box pulsed brighter, responding to her voice and touch, each beat syncing with the tremor of her body. Her lips moved in soft whispers, again words incomprehensible to him, yet their meaning clear: gratitude, awe, trust, and recognition of courage flowing from her being into the light and through him. The human's chest rose and fell slowly, a quiet exhale passing through his lips, as he met her eyes, silently acknowledging the bond they had begun to forge. And in that suspended, luminous moment, the bridge between human and alien stretched full and alive, the glow of the small gift, a heartbeat in the space between them, the tremor of her body, her whispered words, and the unwavering presence of the human creating something fragile, beautiful, unforgettable, a connection that would endure beyond light years and silence beyond time itself. A alien woman let herself tremble fully, her body no longer tense but alive with the warmth and energy of the gift and the sincerity of the human. She lowered her hands slightly, allowing her fingers to rest lightly on the surface, letting the glow pulse through her palms and up her arms, filling her chest with a fragile, luminescent warmth. Her eyes shimmered as she met his gaze, and in that moment the space between them vanished, leaving only the presence of connection, trust, and something neither had dared name. The human exhaled slowly, his hands steady as he held the box, allowing her to claim it in her own way. Every breath they shared seemed to sync with the pulsing glow. a silent rhythm binding them together across the unspoken divide of species, language, and worlds. The platform around them felt smaller, warmer, alive, as if the ship itself leaned closer to witness the miracle unfolding in the quiet, charged chamber. The hum of the engines softened into harmony with their shared heartbeat, the faint vibration underfoot, echoing the invisible pulse of trust forming like a fragile bridge. Her lips parted again, and she whispered words, soft and deliberate words that carried awe, wonder, gratitude, and recognition across the charged air. The human did not need to understand them fully, to feel their weight, to feel the sincerity in the cadence, the meaning behind the tone, and the unspoken promise they carried. He stepped slightly closer, allowing his gaze to soften, filling the space around them with quiet encouragement, patience, and acceptance of this fragile connection he had spent so long hoping to create. The glow of the gift pulsed brighter, now almost imperceptibly responding to their presence. The alien woman allowed herself to move closer still, letting the warmth radiate from the box, and from him, a fragile bridge stretching across space and understanding. Her body no longer shivering with caution but quivering with emotion. Curiosity and awe, she lowered herself slightly to gaze fully at the small object that had brought them together, a simple gesture carrying meaning far beyond its size. Every detail of the glow reflected in her eyes, the gentle shimmer of her skin, and the trembling of her fingers telling a story of trust and connection that needed no words. The human smiled faintly, the corners of his lips brushing upward, a quiet acknowledgement of the moment of miracle before him. He let her take the lead, allowing her to explore the connection on her own terms, letting the pulsing gift and their shared presence do what words could not. The air between them vibrated softly, alive with the weight of fragile understanding, awe, and possibility. The trembling of her hands subsided into gentle pulses, in time with the glow of the gift, her whispered words floating through the charged air, and then they simply stood there together, human and alien. And the small gift glowing between them, the tremor of her body, the soft whispers, the warmth and sincerity, creating a moment that would endure beyond time, space, and understanding. A bridge had been formed, delicate, luminous, alive, and unforgettable, a bond beyond words, carried in light, warmth, and shared presence, the simple gift achieving what neither could have imagined alone.